an ES-3. Sitting next to it is a TA-4, the Skyhawk. This little number, the single-seat version A4, was used by Navy and Marine Corps pilots off of carriers in Vietnam. This one, however, is a twin seat. It came out of Miramar Top Gun School, where it was used as the aggressor aircraft against our own Marine and Navy pilots in air-to-air warfare training. It's the exact same type of aircraft, the single-seat version, that was used by Senator John McCain when he was shot down over Hanoi in 1967 and became a prisoner of war for 5.5 years. We affectionately call it in the Navy and the Marine Corps the Scooter, because it's so quick on its turns. Over here on the left side is another training aircraft, a one of a kind. Only 9 of these were ever made. It's a TC-4C, and it has an A6 intruder nose welded on the front of a twin-engine cargo plane that'll hold 8 to 10 bombardier navigator trainees for duty in the A6 intruder, training all simultaneously instead of one at a time. That one was used for the A6. Twice the speed of sound, as was the F-16. However, strategic air superiority gives it the control of the sky for many, many tens of miles. Coupled with the tactical fighter, the F-16, they're the fighters in the Air Force today, slowly being replaced by the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter when it becomes available. Sitting right next to it is the F-100 Super Sabre. This fighter came out in the 1950s. Combat damage. It has a Purple Heart on its inside skin of the fuselage. Over here on the left side is the F-101 Voodoo, second in the Century series of jets. It's a Mach 1.2 to 1.6 interceptor fighter. Sitting next to it is another fighter. This is an early model F-18 Hornet. It's the one that replaced the F-14 Tomcats as the fighter for the Navy and the Marine Corps. It was also flown by the Blue Angels, as you can see here. Now, the Blue Angels have replaced all their early model B's Hornets with the new Super Hornets, the F/A-18 Hornet. Sitting right next to it is an F-106 Delta Dart. This is the last in the series of the Century series of jets. It's a Mach 2.0 to 2.2 interceptor fighter that was designed to be up over the United States during the Cold War. It was designed to Marine Corps pilots off of carriers in Vietnam. It was the best fighter to kill MiGs over Vietnam during the Vietnam conflict. It had a 6-to-1 kill ratio, 6 MiGs for every loss of one F-8 or F-8 Crusader. Over on the right side, another C-130. This is a DC-130 and the oldest active duty DC-130 at this facility. The D stands for drone. It was a land-based drone-carrying aircraft for the U.S. It is an English Electric designed and made Canberra. It's a B-57 bomber. We got the rights to build it in the United States by Martin because it was determined to be just a really nice nighttime low-level bombing platform for the Air Force out of Thailand to be worked along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And then sitting right next to it is the A-10 Thunderbolt. This is the ones that you've been seeing flying out of here, and you'll see many, many more out here today because there's at least 3 squadrons flying out of Davis, Montana. The Thunderbolt, that's a big box in the forward nose there, is covering up a 7-barrel Gatling gun that'll fire up to about 65 rounds. Right down here on the right, a G model, and we'll talk a little bit more. The HU-25 Falcon over here on the left is a business jet made by the French. It's been flown for, and there goes an A-10 Thunderbolt taking off over there on your left side, doing a nice tight turn to come around downwind, or they're actually taking off to the southeast today, so he's coming downwind to the north. Training aircraft coming up here on the left. The first one is a T-37 Tweety Bird, or Tweet, and was the primary jet trainer for the U.S. Air Force for more than 35 years. Its replacement is now the T-2 Texan, that is the primary, and the advanced supersonic trainer in the Air Force is the T-38 Talon, sitting right next to it. Then the T-46 sitting next to the Talon was a prototype that was designed to replace the Tweet. It has a very special paint job for a very good reason. 2 years ago, 2011 was the centennial of naval aviation, and this aircraft was flown around the United States in honor of the only helicopter pilot in the Navy to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. The Congressional Medal of Honor is painted across the tail, and the story of the rescue mission and the crew member. That can be actually directed in a minimal fashion by an aircraft crewman inside to help hook up the two aircraft that are refueling in air. S3s over here on the right. These Vikings are all retired. They started in '74, now they're all retired in the Navy today. Also, you have some of these nice King Airs over here getting sold off. You can see the various different uses. And here are all the T-34C Mentors. They've all been replaced by the T-6 Texan down in Pensacola as the primary trainer now. You got F-4 Phantoms coming up on the right side. The ones with the orange tails and tips of the wings have been converted to QF-4s or drones. The rest of these will be converted to drones shortly. Also, you've got all kinds of A-7s, T-2 Buckeyes, A-4s on the training command for the Navy. Way over in the corner, H-46s and H-3s from the Navy. The MH-60Rs and S's. Okay, Bob's going to pull off to the side of the road here so you can get one picture without the bus moving. No, I do not recommend anybody getting off the bus. They will take you away. So, nobody gets off. But once we stop the bus, the people on the right side are welcome to stand up and get a nice picture across the left side of the bus, because you're actually, and then we've also got some F-16s and C-130 and two A-10 Thunderbolts getting upgraded. This big block building on the right is the main inventory storage and tracking facility. And then go out or get some additional work. We got a KC-135 at the end of the apron, nose to tail with another A-10 Thunderbolt. So there's at least 3 A-10s out there. It's hard to tell whether they're just coming in or going out. Usually if they're going for a test run, they're down a little bit farther to the south here, down by the taxiway. So it's pretty hard to tell. The 18s are going out, okay. How about the 810s, Bob? Okay, going. Okay. A couple of F-16s and F-18s in there that I didn't point out to you. A lot of activity, obviously, out here. We always see different aircraft all the time. Okay, the Quonset hut over there next to the big hangar, the light tan hangar, is known as the Quonset hut, or the flush farm, where the ordnance and fuel and various other things are taken off the aircraft before they're put into the work base for work or to be prepared for storage. This overhang along the side of the road here on the right is a special hydrazine gas exchange facility for the F-16. The hydrazine on board the F-16 is highly toxic. This is an environmentally protected area for gas exchange and testing of that hydrazine. And now over on the right side you can see where that pickup or truck is heading. That's the taxiway that connects Davis Montana Air Base with this facility. If you look down where that truck's going now, that's the taxiway, and right down there is the airstrip. You can actually see the red flag at the end of the airstrip. The big 747 out here with the white nose is an airborne laser weapon. And for 15 years, it was a major research platform for Norwegian posts. You name it, they've already been sold off somewhere in the world, with the exception of the Titan I and the missile and the Thor missile. Some of these other missile bodies, those are just temporarily stored there. Okay, we're going to take you across Kolb here. You'll see a number of aircraft that are being parted out. Behind this last C-135 on our right side, you'll see a WB-57 Canberra. It's a B-57 Canberra that's been vastly upgraded with longer wings, bigger engines. It is the second aircraft with variable swept wings. This is the B-1B Lancer bomber. It is a variable swept wings. When you bring them back into a delta pattern, they can fly at Mach 1.2. Aircraft with variable swept wings is the F-111 Aardvark and the Raven. Those are the aircraft on your right side right now. The Ravens have the big ball on the vertical tail as jamming packages. The ones without the ball on top are the F-111 Aardvarks. Nobody in the world is flying that aircraft. Australia was the last country to fly that aircraft actively, and that was about 18 to 20 months ago or more. They've replaced them all with FA-18 Super Hornets. And here are your C-5A Galaxies. All the A models, we're told, are slowly being retired, and they're coming into this facility for storage. They're being flown in here about, once a week, sometimes twice a week, and then towed over here and put right here. These are all still in flight status, and some of the engines are starting to be dropped off. This one here, you can see the engines coming off. But the ones at the tail end just came in, so they're still there, but they're parting them out. And they're nose to nose with H nicely, so that you can really upgrade this aircraft rather efficiently and effectively. All the way down to the right, you'll see B-52Gs pointing both left and right into a middle area right adjacent to us, there where all the B-52s are chopped up into big chunks done by a guillotine and a saw. This is where the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty with the Russians, the nuclear treaty to reduce the number of aircraft that can carry nuclear weapons. We're destroying B-52Gs here. They fly their satellites over, count the number we do. They reciprocate at the other end of the world. Okay, as we take a U-turn here, there are dies, tools, jigs, and forms on the desert floor. They were used to build the B-2 bomber on the right and the B-1 bomber on the left. Every die, tool, and jig used to build those aircraft is out there, so that all we're lacking is a hangar, people, and raw material, and you can build those aircraft again. Okay, going back towards the front gate, we've got some more C-135s. Again, you can see how important the parts are out here, because those KC-135 tankers are still in the air. They need parts. We're not building new C-135s, as I mentioned earlier, so they need parts. And in fact, the parts are so valuable that they're buying up every 707 airliner around the world they can get their hands on, storing them here, and using them just for parts. On your right is 2 rows of 707 airliners, Boeing 707s, because they have so many interchangeable parts with the C-135. These guys, this big open area used to have hundreds of F-111 Aardvarks both sides of the road. Now they're all gone. They've all been chopped up and sold off as metal value. And you remember the E-2 Hawkeye that you saw on Celebrity Row earlier with the big ray dome on top? Well, on your right are some more of those E-2 Hawkeyes. But coming up here, you'll see a bunch of orange-nosed B-52, B-52s. Those are the big, T-34 Mentors. And in between them is a Harrier jump jet sitting there, and at the end of the string of T-34s is another Harrier jump jet. Those are the only two Harriers out here used for parts. The last of the Harriers for parts to support the Marine Corps program. You'll see a beautiful Harrier that's restored back at our museum. In fact, it sits just outside of the cafeteria there, the grill, so you can sit there and look at it while you eat your lunch. Beautifully restored. Okay, we're going to cross the road here. Again, this is Kolb. We're going to be out on this road here in about 10 minutes or less. Once you're over the top of the road here and on your right, this is Military.